You're the enemy and we are at war. It's just that simple.
You have to fire McCarthy. You may disagree vehemently.
I do.
I don't want to say anything more about Taylor Swift.
Like, we're not going to play nice. You're not our friend.
Favre, absolute disgrace
Yep.
post-career.
It wasn't his penis.
I hate Goodell. He's the Dallas Cowboys of humans.
Cringe.
Listen, he's still Patrick Mahomes.
Don't you do this.
I mean, I think we got to toss Jake Paul over the top.
From your lips to the football god's ears.
I'd rather be drinking out of a saucer in an alley than listening to this annoying freakazoid.
It's funny. It's weird. It's bizarrely improbable.
Hulkamania is running wild on a Florida highway, brother, and it needs to be talked about.
He's not coming back out for the second half.
I don't know if Drake cried, but I feel confident in saying it made him sad.
I wanted a camera on Tony Dungy so we could see his head explode.
When will our great national nightmare end? Do you think we got it right?
No, that's my ad lib. No, I don't. From Wondery, I'm Michelle Beadle.
And I'm Peter Rosenberg.
And this is Over the Top. Here is how the show works. Best stories of the week in sports and pop culture face off to crown a champion and answer the simple question. What is the most undisputed important thing on planet Earth this week? And we're going to decide it the only way we know how, using Royal Rumble rules. We start with two stories. We decide which one's more worthy to discuss and which one has to go. After 90 seconds, a new story will be introduced and we'll have to decide whether we want to keep talking about our current story or switch to the new one. We don't know the order of stories coming our way, but we do decide which ones get thrown over the top rope. Peter, what's first?
Alrighty, guys, let's get out of the gate with a couple of hammers. That's right. First topics in. We got the Cowboys and their early exit from the playoffs yet again after getting smacked by the Green Bay Packers. And they are up against the Lions winning a playoff game for the first time in 32 years after booing Matt Stafford in his return to Detroit. Oh, we got to talk through this, Beadle. This
is a tough one. Why are they going against each other in the first? I mean, look, I love the demise of the Cowboys repeatedly, like a good Groundhog Day. But I also love the Lions.
Okay, ultimately, I guess I believe the bigger story is the Cowboys yet again. I guess I believe that, but I do want to say I'm a little. We talked about the Goff Stafford Bowl last week, and I have to tell you, I really thought they might do a little something nice for Matt Stafford. I was a little. In what was a wonderful celebrate Detroit day. I know this. You may disagree vehemently.
I do.
I thought the booing and middle finger to Stafford was kind of weak.
Well, middle fingers, it is what it is. But the booing is 100% what a good sports fan does. It is not the day for friendship. It's not the day for thank yous. You're the enemy and we are at war. It's just that simple. So we can send you an email or a text or we'll say something nice to you later on. But on that particular day, Lions fans crushed the assignment. And I am proud of them.
I don't know. I just always felt like Stafford was a dude who stayed in Detroit on horrible teams for a very long time. And don't forget, let his body get destroyed as the quarterback of the Lions. And I just didn't feel like he ditched them. I felt like he really put in a whole career's worth of time in Detroit.
No, I think there's a big monster respect. We saw it from Eminem. But I think on this particular day, hosting a playoff game, and we know how historic that was for them, there's just no nice times. Like, we're not going to play nice. You're not our friend. You're another enemy quarterback. That's it. Plain and simple. Any other game, any other time, happy times, but not this weekend.
2009 through 2020 in Detroit. I challenge you to go to Detroit for that long. All right, fine. But either way, let's throw the Lions over the top, because guess what? We're going to get to talk about them again next week.
I hope so.
The Dallas Cowboys?
Woo!
I mean, listen, everybody with a pulse who is not a Cowboys fan hates the Cowboys, right?
Facts. Yes.
I have to say, though, this one puzzled me.
Really?
I have enjoyed the Packers. I think we've talked about it on this show. I love Jordan Love. I think he's the real deal. I think within a year or two, we'll be talking about a guy who's a top 5 quarterback in this league. I think he's that good. Blowing out the Cowboys was not an option I considered. I considered Cowboys blowout, Cowboys win close, Packers win close.
Right.
Packers blowout, Beadle, was not on the table.
No, I did have the Packers winning, but even I was pleasantly surprised that the blowout occurred. I cannot tell you that each time Jerry Jones doesn't get his way, an angel gets its wings. And Michelle Beadle gets to smile. And it was enjoyable. Just as surely as Lucy's going to pick up that football and Charlie's going to land on his ass, the Cowboys are going to suck in the postseason. It is as much as the sun comes up tomorrow. You can count on it. You can change it. You can fire Mike McCarthy. You can do whatever you want. But if Jerry Jones is still walking amongst us, that team's cursed.
It's starting to feel that way. I don't know how you argue against it. And I will say, by the way, you have to fire McCarthy. I know there's been a lot of back and forth about, like, a lot of people say, what, you'd be ridiculous to fire McCarthy. You have to. He might
be fired while we're doing this podcast. Let's just put it that way.
I know. I was waiting for like the moment, the wrestling moment at the end of the game. When like, by God, that's Bill Belichick's music, and he just enters the stadium mid. Wouldn't you have liked to see? By the way, if Jerry Jones was truly the heel that he should be, then what he should have done was we should have seen a video in the fourth quarter. You see some lowly assistant come up to McCarthy, and like you can't hear what he's saying, and then you just see him take his headphones and his goodbye, sir. Walk off now, because how do you not have your team ready in that?
I thought he was getting fired at the half. I'll be honest. You're giving him an extra quarter or two. I thought he's not coming back out for the second half. That was bad. That was so bad. And it was bad for all of them. Defense, offense, everybody.
I know it's hard to pin it on, listen, Dak had a horrifying pick six and a couple of bad picks, but I'm not putting it squarely on Dak. That was a team that wasn't ready for its game. And I'm sorry, Mike McCarthy, you're also over the top.
We head to Chicago for this next challenger, Peter. Bulls fans booed former GM Jerry Krause during the team's Ring of Honor celebration. Of course, he wasn't there. It was his widow who was in tears on the Jumbotron. Do we want to continue talking about the collapse of the Dallas Cowboys or switch to a booing story in Chicago that brought tears?
I think we move on from the Cowboys, just like the playoffs have moved on from the Cowboys.
Life goes on.
We have to talk about an actual champion. So over the top you go. And another situation, in my opinion, of sort of unnecessary booing.
I feel like I'm the booing expert, the resident booer. Yes, come to me, CNN, or anyone that needs an expert. This is an interesting one.
And how do you feel? And where do you land on this? Because to me, it seems pretty sad.
So this one, for the first time in a long time, I was like, maybe we shouldn't have booed here, ladies and gentlemen. The problem, Peter, with booing, as you know, is once the booing starts, and here's the problem as well, and maybe they, in hindsight, realized the mistake that was made, but it was his name that flashed on the Jumbotron before the realization that his widow is actually on the court. Obviously, everyone knows he's been dead since 2017. So yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know that everyone knew that this lovely old woman was sitting there on the court while her dead husband was being booed relentlessly. So it's a bad look.
I thought that we all kind of came away after the documentary.
Oh, you're going enlightened. Okay.
Well, I just thought we all kind of came away being like, you know what? Jerry Krause wasn't as bad as we initially thought. And I don't know, is that really who you want to boo? How about the 3 stars of the team who didn't show up?
Well, Dennis Rodman tried, but weather was a problem for his travel. Okay. Michael sent a video.
Okay, couldn't make it. Could not make it.
I don't have an excuse for Scotty.
Well, Scotty probably won't be near Jordan. Like, Jerry Krause is just made to be such a villain, and it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't know, man. He did some things right. You guys are sitting there celebrating one team after another. It's a pretty good run.
It's a good run.
I don't know. It's.
But you know what? It's an iconic sports town. Their hatred runs deep, and it's very hard, as you know, when it's like a generational hatred passed down. That's a tough one to get rid of.
I know. I just feel like you would look back now and go, you know what? For the things that happened that we didn't like, and the people that were run out of town, we have 6 championships from that time. Like I don't know how you have any anger left in you.
Oh,
all
easy.
right. This next challenger, Nick Saban, has retired, and Bill Belichick has parted ways with the Patriots on the same day last week. All due respect to the aforementioned and sadly booed Jerry Krause, but it seems like, Beadle, we'd have to send him over the top.
Yeah, it's rest in peace. Over the top you go. It's very awkward. The wording.
I know I was just defending you, but this is more interesting. I'm sorry.
Well, this was last week, which now feels like 7 weeks ago, was a lot. I mean, if you work in the business that we work in, it was a constant news break. Everyone's on edge for the next moment. What's going to happen? Who's going to leave? Who's getting fired? Who's getting hired? And by the way, just throw Pete Carroll in there as well. I feel like that he's getting the short end of the stick. But yes, Saban and Belichick within 24 hours of each other, mind explosion.
Which one surprised you more?
Well, Belichick's not done coaching, right? Like he still very much wants to. He was 15 wins away from breaking Shula's record. So he'll be somewhere, I would imagine, within the number of openings in the NFL. Why not? Saban's was interesting because he was a play away from playing in another national championship game. But I will say this, say what you want about Nick Saban, but the man did not take a year-long farewell tour, Coach K. It can be done. You can retire quietly.
Oh, I love what you've done. God, I love it. I love it. It's so true. It's so. I mean, you realize Coach K was presented with a puppy? That happened.
He was given a puppy. By the way, that poor puppy.
I know. Can you imagine being that puppy? And you're like, ugh, I have to look at this annoying rat face every day for the rest of my life.
You're like jealous of all the strays in the cold.
Like, I'd rather be drinking out of a saucer in an alley than listening to this annoying freakazoid rant and rave.
Were you shocked by Saban more than Belichick?
I was a little more surprised by it just because I had a hunch, the last month, no one stopped talking about Belichick. It was always like, is he going? Is he going? So I just started to assume they would be quieting the noise in New England if he wasn't leaving. So that one didn't surprise me. I'll tell you what, I didn't lose sleep about either of these two things.
No. The diary was not written in on those nights. I'm fine.
Yeah, maybe this means we don't have to deal with Alabama for a while. I wouldn't mind that at all.
From your lips to the football god's ears.
Thank you.
Up next, nothing ever good starts off this way. Jake Paul offered Joe Flacco a Ferrari if he led Cleveland to the Super Bowl. They then went on to get crushed by Texas's number 1 team, the Texans. Do we want to continue talking about two legends stepping away or switch to Jake Paul's offer to Joe Flacco?
I mean, I think we got to toss Jake Paul over the top.
Well, that was quick.
I mean, I'm sorry. I think there's more because there's more to do with these coaches. Even if I don't care particularly for Saban or Belichick, we haven't spent one word talking about sort of where they end up.
You're right. And look at Joe Flacco. I mean, did you see the outfit he wore into the stadium? He would have traded that Ferrari in for like 4 sensible cars.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Jake, if you wanted to be classy, don't dangle a Ferrari in front of a grown man. Give him the Ferrari right now, considering he somehow willed you guys to the playoffs.
Great point.
The reason I picked Houston and loved Houston was that I knew Cleveland felt like they'd already done what they needed to do. They had no business making the playoffs.
Yeah. 4
different quarterbacks. I mean, do you realize we got to a point where in week 18, there was a team in the NFL that was like, been thinking about it. We got to rest Flacco. Need him fresh for next week.
Flacco.
How did that happen?
I don't know. It was a feel-good story because you had $300 million sitting over on the sidelines. Haslam family. So I did love that aspect of it. And I think we got what we needed out of the story. But the Texans are the future in this one. And I'm happy for them. So, yeah, Jake Paul, you're over the top. Not you, Joe Flacco. You're fine. Paul.
Yeah, good work, dude.
Get out.
The Jets could have really used you. But,
yeah.
I mean, is Belichick the hands-down GOAT now? Is this one of the rare no conversation, like he's actually just the greatest football coach of all time and there's nothing else to say about it?
Well, I mean, he wants to beat the wins record, victories, of which he needs 15, which, by the way, he is almost 72 years old, 15 more wins, depending on which team he lands with. It's going to be something. It might be a challenge.
But if he ends up with a better than average team, 2 years should get it done. If you end up on a half decent team.
Yeah, he should get it done. Yeah, I don't know. Look, people want to bring up Lombardi. They want to go that far, to sort of have that argument. And if you have to go that far to have an argument about the greatest of all time, then I could probably make the argument that this is the greatest of all time. You're going back to legendary names, decades.
By the way, speaking of which, side note, how crazy is it that one of my best friends in the world, Mark Ballard, biggest Packers fan I know, I watched the game with him yesterday. An absolute maniac of epic proportion, is as obsessed with the Packers as anyone I know is with any team. How crazy is it that like 4 years ago, he found the love of his life. They're living together happily. And her last name is Lombardi.
Ooh.
How crazy is that? It's like, I don't get to tell this story enough. It's insane. I can't even come up with a comp of that.
That's destiny.
Talk about destiny. But come on, don't throw Lombardi at me. Don't throw, Papa Bear Hallis. I mean, let's stick to reality, guys. And not to say that Lombardi wasn't an absolute icon, because he certainly was. But to do what Belichick did in the era that he did it, over the time that he did it, even if you want to have the whole Brady-Belichick chicken or the egg conversation, we can have it, but I still think Belichick ends up being the greatest. I hate his guts, but damn it if I don't respect him.
I cannot wait to see where Bill Belichick lands.
Listen, as long as it's not in Washington, I'll be happy to see it.
No, he ain't taking that job.
I don't think so. No, but I don't like why you're saying that. Wait. You don't think it's a good job?
They don't want him.
Thank you very much. All right, here's a story coming down the aisle that certainly has some people in their feelings. I have a hunch it's going to have Drake in his. The Mighty Most Def, a.k.a. Yasim Bey, a.k.a. Black Dante, a.k.a. everything else, has spoken. And the Mighty Most said that Drake is not hip-hop. He called Drake's music pop. He went on to sort of laugh at Drake and say that he makes shopping music. Do we want to talk about Belichick and Saban, or move on to Drizzy Drake and the Mighty Most?
I'm making this decision for you, Peter Rosenberg, because I'm done talking about Belichick and Nick Saban. We're going to have to talk about him forever and ever anyways. So I'm sorry, gentlemen, if you don't mind. Over the top you go, but shopping music? That seems very rude to me. Very.
So I talked about this with my friend Cypher Sounds on our One Up podcast, where we talk hip hop things, and I'll tell you the conclusion I came to. Okay, you have every right to be critical, and I am not gonna get on Most for this, because I certainly have had my share of, in an attempt to be critical, ended up being outright mean. I think this sort of falls into that category, though. like. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about Drake, and I'm sure Drake is used to it. And, if Joe Budden, whose life is being a public hip-hop curmudgeon, says something about Drake fires back. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm sure he doesn't feel bad about it. It's like, this is fun. It's motivation. Let's just talk shit.
He gets on his giant plane to his giant compound and laughs.
Right. He goes through his phone to pick which model he wants to meet up with for dinner. And he's like, I'm going to talk her ear off tonight about Joe Budden. Whew. And all is going to be fine.
Yep. And then here's a Birkin bag. Thank you for coming.
Right. And she ends up with a Birkin bag. He has a great night. Everyone's happy. But when you're minding your business and you just happen to see a clip start going viral.
Oh, dear.
That a really respected, amazing, highly regarded artist who you admire kind of laughed in your face and said you don't make hip hop, it actually made me feel for Drizzy. I got to tell you.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this. I don't agree with the assessment. I mean,
it's not shopping music.
No. He is shopping music. But that's only because he's so popular.
Okay.
It's not to me because he's making pop. I mean, has Drake made super popular songs filled with singing? He has. But he's also made a million rap songs and that are absolutely hip hop. It may not be Most Def's type of hip hop, but I think you're hard pressed to to grab a 0 to 100 or Started from the Bottom or Energy or even a bunch of songs on his new album and say they're not hip hop, they're shopping music. It was tough. It was tough. I love Mos, and I love that he spoke his mind, honestly. Good. I'm always up for a debate, but I also felt it was a little tough.
You think Drake cried?
I don't know if Drake cried, but I feel confident in saying it made him sad. It would make me sad.
What a sad part of the show to take a quick break. Now I'm just thinking about Drake. Sad. Right now, the most important topic of the day is Mos Def mocking Drake.
Laughing.
Shopping music. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Over the Top. Right now, the most important crazy stories, Mos Def and Drake. I got to be honest, 2024 is all about critiquing. Peter, next challenger.
All right, here we go. Drizzy Drake up against young quarterbacks. Green Bay's Jordan Love, Houston's CJ Stroud. These guys have balled out all year and shined in their playoff debuts and won. Do we want to keep talking about Drizzy Drake staring out the window of his mansion into the Toronto snow as he thinks about how Mos Def decided to rain on his parade? Or do we want to talk about the great performances and future of Jordan Love and CJ Stroud?
Yeah, I think Drake's going to be fine. Somehow he's going to make it. So we're going to go ahead and throw Drake over the top.
All right, do you agree with me? Do you agree that Jordan Love, in the next year or two, he will find his way into the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love? I think he's going to be there.
I mean, he went into Dallas and he didn't just win a playoff game, his first. He crushed them in a building in which they had not lost in a really, 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 really long time. This was a team that, once again, we start the year with all the aspirations and goals. Spare me the details. Maybe we don't have to go through all that again next year, preseason with the Cowboys. Can we just accept that they are what they are? That being said, he's 25 years old. He sat patiently behind Aaron Rodgers. He was mocked incessantly, basically by numerous people saying he just wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough to do this. And when I look at his face combined with CJ Stroud's face at 22 years old, I'm just blown away by the cool, calm collectedness of all of it. It's fun to watch, and I think, it's such a generic thing, but the future is in good hands, Peter. The NFL's going to be just right.
And by the way, the timing is kind of perfect because let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes, listen, he's still Patrick Mahomes.
Don't you do this.
Hold on.
Don't you do this.
Just hear me out.
Okay.
He is Patrick Mahomes, okay? He did take one small step backwards this year. It was, and it's not even backwards, it's forwards, but it was the first step down just the beginning.
Back nine? Okay.
Yeah, just the beginning of the back nine. I mean, this is a guy who puts a lot of mileage on that body. He plays a lot of playoff games, in frigid weather, gets banged up, runs. I think we still have Patrick Mahomes for a while. I think we still have Josh Allen for a long time. Lamar Jackson is still prime. But the time was right to add a couple of new ones to the mix. And I think it is. I think it's CJ and Jordan Love, man. Jordan, can you imagine being a Packers fan? This is going to be 3 back-to-back franchise quarterbacks. Just look at it like this.
It's good luck.
If Jordan Love becomes who I believe he will, then he will be on the Packers, let's throw 10 years at him.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would mean the Packers had their stud quarterback back-to-back from me as a human, just as an example, from the ages of 12 to 54. They had a franchise quarterback the entire time. I haven't had a franchise quarterback for an entire season since 1991. And I had to hear the aforementioned Ballard during the game yesterday be like, hey, this was a rebuilding year. I'm like, dude.
Hell of a rebuild.
You're already in the play. A rebuild isn't 10 games. How did you do this?
It's all relative, Peter. Rebuild is relative. Some people take decades. Some people take less than one season.
It feels so unfair. You know what? You don't have a kick coming because You're a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
You
We're
got
rebuilding.
Oh no, you suck. I mean, it's like borderline getting like, hey, this is a real, it's like, hold on, do they want back-to-back number 1 picks? What's going on here?
Who doesn't?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Doesn't want that.
But you had so many years of glory.
Yes.
I just can't imagine, particularly with football, you're just good every year. Like the Packers have played in 9 championship games, they said, since 1995. Damn. 9.
Okay, so here's the only thing I would advise Jordan Love. Do not drink the water or breathe the air that your 2 predecessors did, because post-football is a doozy, apparently.
It's one of the best points you've ever made in the young history of this show. Because it's so true. Favre, absolute disgrace post-career. Mm-hmm. And Rodgers is doing everything in his power to follow in a different version of those same footsteps.
Bad asterisks will be next.
But I will tell
names.
you, Love does seem to have like a sweetness to him that neither of them ever had.
Do not jinx this.
Come on, Jordan Love.
Whew. All right. This next challenger is a wild one, brother. Hulk Hogan. This one you can't even make up. Helped rescue a young woman after she overturned her car on a Florida highway. Do we want to continue talking about the young QBs as they shine, or switch to Hulk Hogan's heroics? Come on. Come on.
You know where I'm going.
Come on. What even is this?
I mean, listen, you guys are young. We got plenty of time to talk to you.
Tons.
But Hulkamania is running wild on a Florida highway, brother, and it needs to be talked about. Over the top you go, Jordan Love. CJ Stroud. Be careful, guys. Good luck next week. But the Hulkster, can you imagine?
No.
I mean, Are you serious? Who needs the jaws of life when you have the 24-inch pythons?
Was he wearing his t-shirt? Did I see that correctly?
He was wearing, first of all, these days he always wears a Hulk Hogan related t-shirt. Okay, so yes, he was wearing a black NWO
That's what I
shirt.
thought. Wow.
So
this woman came out of a what the hell just happened to me moment, and that's the first face she saw.
Hulk Hogan, bandana on, NWO shirt on, hair still there, squaring up with the fire, squaring up ready to fight the fire. Like he was ready to fight the car. You know that. And also, you know, as the years go on, this story will become like every other Hulk Hogan story and become more and more dramatic. Before you know it, by the time like this 3 years passes, it won't have been a car. It'll be an 18-wheeler.
Obviously.
Filled with cars. He lifted a truck filled with cars. He lifted Optimus Prime on his back, brother, and slammed that big nasty car in front of 93,000. It's
odds. Although in Florida, maybe the odds aren't as crazy as we think they are.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Would you have thought you died if that's the first face you saw? Would you have thought like this is the afterlife? All right.
Well, of me of all people, like it would seem like a very like, oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan.
It's happening.
It's happening. Wait, but he's alive. Wait.
What is he?
Wait, did me and Hulk die together, brother?
That's what I would have thought.
All right, guys, here's our next challenger. Get your hand warmers ready. Shirtless Bills fans were paid $20 an hour to shovel Highmark Stadium ahead of the Bills-Steelers game Monday night. The game, of course, was moved from Sunday. The Bills went on to beat the Steelers. They'll face the Chiefs in the divisional round. Do we want to talk about Hulkamania running wild on a highway in Florida, or Bills fans getting to work and saving the day at the stadium?
I don't know what else to say about the Hulk Hogan story. Do you? It's funny. It's weird. It's bizarrely improbable. That's what I know.
There is a conversation. Here's the one argument I'll make. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else I have to say about the Bills fans doing their thing.
That's a great point too, because I feel like we've done that road. We've been there.
I mean, $20 an hour. They were shirtless. They were sliding down things through the crowd.
Hypothermia.
Through the snow, through the seats or whatever. Yeah, as you can tell, we have nothing to say about it. It's cool.
You're right.
What I would rather do, so get over the top. Get the hell out of here, Bills Mafia.
Yeah. And by the way, you got your win. Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, over the top and through a table you go. Even you guys, I don't relate to, by the way. Bills fans, the ultimate losers. Now you guys even know what it's like to, like, during a bad year, you still make the playoffs and win the first round. Like,
That's a great point.
You know what? But we did still beat you in 1991.
You know you can switch allegiances, right? Like, you're not contractually obligated to love the Commanders your entire life.
Wait, have you ever full on switched teams?
Not basketball, but I've come and gone with different NFL teams depending on where I live. Because I lived in New York, I was a Jets fan for a minute. Lived in LA, let me check out what the Rams are all about. But nothing crazy. No, wouldn't say I was a super fan of either.
That's the thing. Once you're in full like super fan, you are stuck.
Okay.
Like, imagine the level of fraud I'd be if, like, all of a sudden I was like, I'm an Eagles fan. It's close.
It happened. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from DC. I live in New York. Philly's halfway. I just feel, but
there's an argument.
But here, how about this? Here's what I'd like to discuss with regard to the Hulkster.
Mm-hmm.
Other superstars and, like, celebrities who it would make sense if they were to walk into a real life situation.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, or like you're on a plane and something fishy's happening, and all of a sudden Denzel steps up. Like, I don't,
Wait, hold on. Wasn't he a drunk pilot?
That's a great one.
I don't know if I want Denzel on
my
plane.
By the way, so if drunk Denzel gets up on a plane and is like, I'm going to fly this plane.
Flip it over and do it upside down. No.
Like, we have to allow him to do it. That's Denzel Washington.
Oh, Gerard Butler. He's saving the day in every movie he's in.
That's a good one.
And he loves pugs. No brainer for me.
Or what if you're hanging out in a situation, you're like, oh my God, there's a burglar. And then here comes Jacob Elordi and just whips out his penis. Again.
It wasn't his penis. It was Barry Keoghan or whatever his name is.
But I wouldn't even recognize the other guy, so it doesn't work. Just
oh, you wouldn't recognize a penis on its own? That's great.
But if it was Elordi's penis, I'd go, I recognize that penis anywhere.
How did we get there? How did we get back to this place?
All right, save us.
Coming in hot. NBA is finalizing plans to turn the 2024 draft into a two-night extravaganza. Do we continue to talk about who superstars Hulk Hogan saving lives and who do we want? Or do we switch to the NBA draft?
Let's switch to the draft because I would like to. Okay. I have some things to say.
I mean, it's a lot of, yeah.
Hulk, guess what? The Royal Rumble's in Tampa in 2 weeks. So maybe cross our fingers. We'll see you over the top twice in 2 different weeks. But over the top you go, buddy. Don't break your back. All right. So a 2-night NBA draft. Here's why I hate it, Beadle.
Okay, good.
I hate it because I hate the NFL draft. I despise the pomp and circumstance. Our super producer, Andrew Goldstein, is one of those people who he's such a fantasy nerd that the NFL draft is important. Like he gets together with people. Like I don't like college football, so I don't care about who gets drafted. Tell me when they're on my team and I will look into it and be like, cool. Now, this year, if my team, as they are, is drafting in the top 2, well, yes, I'm going to tune in to see what quarterback of the future we supposedly draft. But I generally find the pomp and circumstance of the NFL draft to be sickening. I hate Goodell. He's the Dallas Cowboys of humans.
Fair.
And Adam Silver, I like. I don't want the NBA to be a league that's juicing every dollar and every minute out. Like they already did the in-season tournament. I don't know, Beadle. I need a 2-day draft. I don't.
This is where I part ways with normal sports fans. I don't care. Once the fashion's been seen, it's like watching bingo numbers be drawn. Okay. And past 3, I don't have the bandwidth. So making it 2 days, abso-freaking-lutely not. I ain't watching it.
I love that we're in lockstep on this because we're not normal.
No.
It seems like hardcore sports fans really love the draft. Last year, I went to a sports bar.
For the draft?
It happened to be the NFL draft.
Oh, dear.
But I was just meeting a friend and a colleague for a drink. And to see the people gathered around the TVs like it was a game. It's just a weird sports thing I don't identify with.
The only thing I hate more or I'm less interested in is the combine.
Now, listen, if I could get Wondery to send us to the combine so we could go to St. Elmo's Steakhouse and have a steak and some shrimp cocktail.
We have no reports from the combine.
No, I would report on the cocktail sauce. I'd be like, very horseradishy.
Still delicious.
And still delicious. All right, our next challenger. The NFL divisional round has some more juicy matchups. How about this for football classicness? We got the Packers and the Niners. We got the Bills and the Chiefs. You want to stay on the NBA draft or move to the NFL?
No, I don't want to stay on the NBA draft. I'm not even going to watch it when it does change to 2 nights. So have a nice day.
Over the top.
Over the top they go. Yeah, juicy for me. I don't know if you feel like I do. And I get that we are, looking at the Niners and, of course, the Ravens on the other side of things because they've had the bye week. But I get a little nervous after a bye week. Because we've been watching Wild Card Weekend, the craziness, people who've gotten hot, like looking at Jordan Love, like, oh my God, it's great. And then I think to myself, man, are they going to come out rusty? And is it going to be just enough to lose in an upset to a team that's coming in, just hasn't stopped yet, rolling? I do get nervous about that, Peter.
Like, listen, the truly great teams come off the bye and it's nothing. They live off of the bye. They're improved because of the rest. But for the question is with this year's Ravens and 49ers.
Yeah.
For example, do they rise to the level of that kind of team that because I look at this 49ers team and I go, hey, I remember a time, granted Purdy was beat up when they lost 3 straight and they were not very good.
I'm old enough to remember that too, Peter.
Yeah, I remember. I think we were doing this show. The Ravens seem to be really, really on point this year. Mm-hmm. But I don't think whoever wins the Super Bowl this year is a team that we're putting in the all-time ranks of Super Bowl champions. So I hear what you're saying, but let me just say, that is a sexy Saturday.
I know.
Texans, Ravens at 4:30. The upstart CJ Stroud and the Texans at the Ravens, MVP. And then you get the Packers at the Niners. It's pretty dope.
I love this time of year. I know I took a 3-year hiatus from NFL, all things, but I have to be honest. I'm enjoying every second of every game.
We love that you're back.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I didn't get any cards, but it's fine. This is our final story of the day. So good luck to
You already know I have to do it.
Taylor Swift, Brittany Mahomes, and Mama Kelce were seen swag surfing at the Chiefs-Dolphins game. Do we continue to talk about next weekend's divisional round must-see?
Nope.
Wait, can I say something before you go into this?
Sure.
I had to Google swag surfing.
Well, by the way, and you know what? In that sense, you're very much like Mama Kelce, I'm sure.
I'm closer to her than the others. So, yeah. So, sorry, boys. We'll see you guys next week. We'll be enjoying all the games. Entertain us, please. But goodbye.
You know what? You know what this tells me? I want to let everyone behind the scenes. I don't know this to be true, but I know this to be true.
Oh, God.
The reason this story is sitting here where it is because the producers saw my tweet that night.
What did you say?
I was like, okay, fine. I'll be the bad guy who finds this to be the single most annoying thing that's ever happened in history.
Cringe. It was cringe.
I don't want to say anything more about Taylor Swift because the truth is, overall, I agree with the sentiment. She is talented. She seems, by all accounts, to be a good person who cares about things. I'm sure she's a lovely, lovely human being. Okay? That being said, the image of Taylor Swift, Brittany Mahomes,
this is how fluid it was.
Mama Kelce, and the whole suite full of rich friends and family of the Chiefs doing the most aggressive swag surf I've ever seen.
Not real good rhythm.
So there are certain things in my life that get me angry. And I'm going to be honest. It's a sign that I'm probably a bad person.
No, that won't be
a lot of times dancing is in that category.
That's
and I think
fair.
I think cynical people get mad at dancing. Probably because I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, wait, hold on. Dancer. You don't like dancing even when it's good?
No. I do. I fully enjoy dancing.
Oh, okay.
I love watching a good dancer dance, right? But that was not this. And what makes me really angry is not only when dancing's bad, but when it's aggressive.
It was aggressive.
For example, you know what gets me mad? If you ever go to a game, and you go to lots of them, when the Knicks City dancers start dancing,
they're great.
But here's the problem. When I start looking at the faces of cheerleaders, I want to kill someone.
But that's a dance moms thing. It's like emote.
But when I see that, the crazy face, it makes me feel crazy. And it was a suite full of crazy faces doing a swag surf. By the way, the swag surf, I hate when anyone does it. It's like, so Beadle, it was a thing when hip hop was at its absolute worst in like the mid 20-aughts. I guess, what year is swag surf? Could a super producer tell me that? I want to say it's around 2010.
Oh, wait. Oh, damn.
It's 08?
Okay. No, I'm just guessing.
I think it's in that range.
Okay.
It was not a great moment for music.
Okay.
And ringtone, it was coming out of the ringtone era. It's 2009. Oh. It's coming out of the ringtone era. Just popular rap was not great in that moment. And so people clung to corny dances. And man, that generation of kids, boy, do they love a goddamn swag surf, and to see Taylor Swift and the Kelces.
I thought it was rhythmless and cringe.
I wanted them to interrupt the game like a special news report.
I wanted a camera on Tony Dungy so we could see his head explode. And then it would have been funny again.
It was just too much to bear. And then they win, so we have to see again. Now we have to hope that Buffalo can knock off Kansas City and we don't have to get any more swags. By the way, it could become a thing for them now.
It's 100% going to be a thing. Are you kidding me? 100% a thing. You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. That's 90 seconds, which means we've made our decision.
I protest.
The new, undisputed, most important thing on planet Earth this week is the fact that Travis Kelce's mother and Taylor Swift did a group swag surf on national television.
No.
When will our great national nightmare end?
I'm disenchanted.
This was a tough week, Beadle. I had fun.
No, you have to ask the question that we end the show on every time. There, you had better ask, because I have an answer.
Do you think we got it right?
No, that's my ad lib. No, I don't.
All right, that is it for us. Tune in next week to determine the only thing you need to care about and what goes over the top.